What is new, LTQ Wrestling Crew? We are back with another podcast episode. There's been a lot of wrestling news. Obviously, the Elimination Chamber happened. WrestleMania is around the corner. We had a big AEW pay-per-view. We had some New Japan shows. TNA and WWE had like a crossover type show. We had Stephanie Van Cure win both NXT Women's Championships. First ever woman to do that, I believe. So a lot been happening in the wrestling world. QJ and Tears, are we ready to talk some wrestling today?
Yeah.
More or less.
Well, let's get into it. So Shinsuke Nakamura, he recently lost the U.S. title to LA Knight. Very underwhelming title reign. I honestly forgot he was even champion. They tried this new gimmick with him. It looked like he was kind of trying to pay tribute to the Great Muta. And there's many mixed reports going around about Nakamura. His brother recently passed away, and maybe he's taking time off for that. There's also been reports that his contract's due, and maybe both those cases could be true. Maybe he told WWE, like Ricochet did, like, listen, I'm not going to resign. My brother just passed away. I'm going to take some time off. So who knows if he's actually leaving WWE or maybe he's just taking a leave of absence. But it's been reported that he could be on the way out. And I believe he's in his 40s, maybe mid-40s at this point. His WWE run on the main roster has been filled with ups and downs. Obviously, it's been some ups with him winning the Royal Rumble and him winning the U.S. and Intercontinental titles. But I think a lot of fans expected more potentially from Nakamura on the main roster. So, Tears, I'll start with you, biggest Nakamura fan here. What do you think about him potentially leaving WWE, and what are your overall thoughts if this is it on his overall run in the company?
I mean, I will say I am kind of disappointed, like with his main roster run, not his NXT. His NXT run was pretty good, but when it came to the main roster, it kind of just fizzled. I remember he debuted like interrupting the Miz, and that led nowhere. He won the Royal Rumble, which that's always a positive, winning the Royal Rumble. But unfortunately, his match with not Styles got cut short, so they had to make that match just feel abruptly ended. Or let's not forget about the Jinder Mahal feud. That was a experience that caused a lot of people to just be done with it all. The heel run wasn't that well remembered at first. He did debut the new IC belt. Let's not forget that he is a decently multi-time US and IC champion. Can't remember if he won the tag belts. That he might have. Other than that, it's just like he just feels like another person on the roster for me, and that's always a shame.
So I'll ask you this, since you know a lot about his New Japan run, could you potentially see him winding back up there? Or do you think he just calls it a career and retires at this point?
His New Japan career, if he was to retire right now, it'd be pretty good. I believe he holds the record for most IC belts for them. He was one of the Three Musketeers along with Hiroshi Tanahashi and Katsuyori Shibata. Created the Chaos Faction. He could probably go for another Wrestle Kingdom and then retire, but if he was to retire right now, he had a good career. He's been in wrestling for a long time now, so he could probably do it, and nobody would bat an eye, being like, "Oh, what? That's surprising." It'd be like pretty. I'm trying to think of a comparison for him that people would understand. I guess it would be. Kind of be like if Daniel Bryan retired or Bryan Danielson. It'd be like if he retired and stayed retired. It'd be like if you know that how long he's been wrestling, you can see it happening.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. QJ, what about you? What do you think about Nakamura potentially leaving and his overall run on the main roster and WWE in general?
His overall run was NXT was cool, especially that match, the debut one when he had with Sami Zayn. Probably still one of the best matches still to this day. If y'all haven't seen it, I need to go back, go on the NXT channel and watch it. I don't know. know. Then once he got to the main roster, I mean, he did win the Royal Rumble, like Tia said, so that's always an accomplishment. But then he had that match cut short with AJ Styles, and I enjoyed him as Cena. Wish he could have lived up a little bit more, but I don't know. I felt like ever since, I mean, it wasn't really his fault, but Cena got fell in the wrong spot. But I don't know. I felt that kind of made a downfall for me when I saw that. I mean, if he leaves, he'll still be remembered. He's done everything he needed to do. I don't know. They gotta do better with that. Let me just leave it there.
Yeah, both of you made some good points. So for me, like obviously he's had a lot more success than others in WWE. Like I'm not gonna sit here and act like he just had an awful run and he didn't accomplish anything. When you win the Royal Rumble, you're in the history books forever, whether you won at WrestleMania or not. Unfortunately, he didn't win at WrestleMania, but he accomplished a lot. Won the U.S. title, Intercontinental titles. He had some okay feuds from time to time, and I think after what QJ mentioned with Cena, I think I heard Vince was like really pissed off about that, how he threw Cena and let Cena land on his head. Like I heard Vince was just furious. I think he did this with Finn Balor too after Finn's injury, where like you either injure somebody or get injured. He thinks you're a liability, and you just are like, okay, I'm not going to make this guy in the main eventer anymore. And maybe that was the case with Nakamura. The NXT run was really good. I enjoyed a lot of his matches there. The main roster, unfortunately, even now, success isn't guaranteed. We see a lot of people get caught up and they're not doing anything, or they get released before they even get an opportunity, like Blair Davenport, for example, somebody who got called up, had no plans for whatsoever. And it's like, okay, we're going to release you. It's like, and, just because you have success in NXT doesn't mean you're going to have success on the main roster, because it's, a different booker and it's a different audience. So they've tried with Nakamura. I read reports that he signed a new deal in 2022, and there was hesitancy on both sides to do that because Nakamura realizes his booking just been kind of all over the place. WWE, maybe told him, like, we'll try to get together. And Triple H tried, but it's like when he came out there, the audience wasn't even really reacting to him or nothing. I don't know if the audience is just kind of in cruise control with Nakamura at this point, where it's just like, yeah, we know who this guy is, and that's it. I don't know. But overall, solid run. I could see him going back to New Japan doing something, or maybe just retiring. He is in his 40s, which isn't old in wrestling, but some wrestlers, since he's been doing it for so long, maybe he's just going to live the rest of his life and do whatever. We'll have to see. But, hats off to Nakamura if this is it for him. And I do think it's probably it. I mean, I don't really see what else he could possibly do in WWE at this point. I mean, he's never going to be a world champion. He's probably never. It's unfortunate. A lot of people are saying online this is probably Nakamura's last title in WWE, which it looks like that's probably it. So hopefully he finds happiness in whatever he does next, because he's a great wrestler, and we'll have to see. So speaking of WWE and contracts and all that, Carmella recently did some interviews, and she had a lot to say. And sometimes, I get being salty and pissed off and mad or whatever the case, if WWE releases you or doesn't renew your contract. But Carmella just sounded dumb during this, in my opinion. She claims that WWE got rid of her because she's pregnant, which Alexa Bliss got pregnant, Becky Lynch got pregnant, and nothing happened to them. And I don't know. She had a lot to say, and she's mad because Corey Graves. Okay, sorry about that. I should be good now. She's pretty much mad because Corey Graves still has his job there, which is something is very interesting to be upset about, considering that's your husband and you guys just had a baby and that's more income, but whatever. And she claims she tried to get on TV. She wanted to try different things. She wanted to be a manager, a commentator, a pre-show analyst, whatever. And she just sounded salty. So QJ, I'll start with you. What do you think about WWE not renewing Carmella's contract, and were you impressed with her overall run in the company? She was there for about 13 years, I think.
Carmella had have a bad run. Um, I'd be forgetting she was even there. I mean, she had a little moment. That's the problem with WWE. They'll give you a little moment, and after that, you'd be forgetting they even there. They just mainly just worry about the main people. Uh, yeah, that comment was pretty. I don't know, like because you're pregnant and stuff like that, man. I don't think it would be because of that. Uh, well, she got to realize WWE. They just let people go. So eventually, it's like after a while, you're not really doing nothing. They're probably just gonna just let you go. So I mean, it's kind of what you got to expect from that company. I mean, that goes for all companies, but it's pretty much my feelings about it. But other than that, she had her run. So it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, and like she was injured too, like so, and her injury apparently wasn't getting better. She had something going with her foot, like dead foot or something, or drop foot, I think is what it's called.
Mm.
So I mean, if WWE sees that and you ain't getting better and your contract's coming up, I mean, there ain't really a point re-signing her, like in my opinion. But Tiz, what do you think about WWE not renewing her contract and her overall run?
I mean, if it was drop foot, then I honestly just got reminded of like the A&W Steiner documentary, where apparently that's what Scott Steiner dealt with for many, many years. And that does affect your match quality, like extremely. Uh, the comment about like she got punished for being pregnant, like you said, like Becky, Bliss, and others have had time off. I don't believe that has anything to do with it because multiple people have left WWE for a break to deal with that, and two, no disrespect to her, but she had no storyline whatsoever going on. It's not like you getting pregnant affected anything. Um, Her career was oh, it'll be memorable. I mean, she was the first ever. Yeah, she was the first ever women's Money in the Bank holder. We could talk about how she got that another day. She did hold the SmackDown Women's Championship multiple times, so there is that. People are gonna want to forget about it, but let's not. She did debut in a major store, like not in a side character status. She was just the manager for Enzo and Cass, and it worked for her. She went through that whole gimmick for so many years to pull her through it with the fabulous stuff. Then she got revamped. I don't think the revamp for her, like to becoming the most beautiful woman in WWE, I don't think that gimmick worked for her. So take that as you will. I think she was a multi-time women's tag champ. Could be wrong. Willing to be wrong. But overall, her career, it's better than most. I'll give her that. It's better than what people probably thought it would have been. But this comment is just another comment of somebody who's not happy.
Yeah, I agree with both y'all. Like, so I'm a Carmella fan, or at least used to be. I really liked when she first got up to the main roster, the Princess Staten Island gimmick and everything. And I'm sure she had more success than probably she even thought. Because I mean, I didn't think when she got called up that she was really going to do too much. She's just going to be a manager and maybe like just another blonde on the main roster who's just kind of there. And the thing with Carmella, she needs to realize is the women's roster is even better than it was 10 years ago. I mean, there's so much talented wrestlers, and this ain't a knock on Carmella, but she wasn't exactly Becky Lynch in the ring or anything. I mean, she was kind of just there because of her looks. So it ain't like WWE just has to have Carmella on TV. She just must see. I didn't hear anybody even say they miss Carmella, they even want her back or anything. And that's not a knock on her, but it's like she's not really a star in that company. Yes, she's had some success, but she's not somebody the fans just are begging to come back. Like, oh man, WWE needs Carmella back. They're not going to survive without her. If she has drop foot, WWE probably don't see that as a good thing. They're probably like, okay, your contract's up. We're not going to renew it. Just like they did with Sonya Deville. They told Sonya Deville, we're not renewing your contract. and that's the end of it. And WWE's at a point now where if you're not getting over with the audience, you're not really doing much. Unlike Tony Khan, which he's kind of starting to do a little bit more of, they're getting ready. They're going to get rid of you, and that's just business. I'm not going to pay you to sit at home for 2 years, 3 years, and just renew you for another 5 years. That's just bad business. Like you got to do something for the company. And I know Carmella volunteered to do stuff, but I don't see her being a good commentator. I don't really see her being on the pre-show. So I mean, she doesn't really bring much value at this point to WWE, and that's not a knock on her, but that's just the way it is. So she just sounded bitter. I mean, I get it. You were there 13 years. I mean, she kind of be grateful for that. I'm surprised she even lasted a decade there, to be honest. So just go on to another career. You and Corey should have a lot of money. You guys have both worked there forever. So, I mean, you guys just, move on to a different career or something. I mean, I don't know what to tell some of these wrestlers or go to AEW and get free money to sit in catering. I don't know what to tell them, but hopefully Carmella finds some type of happiness, whatever she decides to do. Probably don't see her in wrestling again, but who knows? So John Cena heel turn. I know we're late talking about this, but I just wanted to get QJ and Tears' thoughts on it. Obviously, the biggest heel turn, arguably in the history of wrestling. You could say Hogan, but I think this one's probably bigger. Everybody was talking about it. He's going to appear on Raw this Monday, which starts at an earlier time because I believe they're in another country. So if you're tuning in to Raw live, make sure to tune into that earlier. I definitely will be. And he will be in the same building with Cody Rhodes. So that should be interesting. Obviously, they're facing off for WrestleMania. He's aligned with The Rock. Travis Scott was there, which, yeah, he gave Cody a black eye. It is what it is. I don't know. And he wants to be a wrestler, by the way. He's trained to be a wrestler, which
never.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll just see how that plays out. Logan Paul proved us otherwise.
Bad Bunny too. So yeah,
Bad Bunny definitely. Bad Bunny's a good example as well. So we'll see. We'll see about Travis Scott.
We'll see how that plans out. Cena's heel now, biggest heel turn in the history of wrestling, in my opinion. I mean, it was a shocker for sure. It was something that shocked the whole world. And we'll have to see how Cena acts. He did lose his bald spot. Maybe he got a hair transplant during his heel turn, which he needed because that bald spot is cruised. But QJ, I'll start with you. Biggest Cena fan here. What do you think about his heel turn? And do you think he should win at WrestleMania now that he's a heel?
The heel turn was perfect. I was hearing that. I remember you told me you said that Cody, he was supposed to be the one to do it, but you said he didn't want to do it. So it was good that Cena did it. I had a feeling he was going to do it, especially y'all remember the chamber at the end when Seth Rollins curb stomp. I ain't really like Cena to just, oh man, you all right? You all right? He actually just capitalized on it. Oh well, I gotta do whatever. But yeah, it was good. Great. Probably I went on Twitter. That thing was trending worldwide. I saw the kids. They was crying. You already know they was gonna be crying. But people gotta realize he started as a heel coming in the business. So I've been wanting him to go back to that heel. Obviously, Vince, he didn't do that because merchandise, so it makes sense. But it's good they're able to do it, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, and yeah, he definitely should win it. Why not? Very curious what he gonna have to say on Monday. And some saying, yeah, they tune in to WrestleMania now after seeing that. Their eyes is wide open. But sadly, people just gonna be tuning in just for that though. But
I guess I'm tuning in anyway. So.
Pretty good though. I mean, like the returning fans, kind of. That's what I'm gonna say.
No, that's true.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. My thoughts.
Well, Tears, what did you think about Cena's heel turn overall?
I loved how the camera work on how they did it, to where like Cena goes in for the hug that Cody did not sell us, so, and then he just dead stares The Rock. Like that was funny for me. I've been seeing also a lot of people have been like speculating to where like back last year The Rock did some kind of 3 like signal when he was with Roman Reigns, and then with Cena he did the throw slit and there was a 2. So now people are saying like what's going to be the 1? that's going to be fun to see if that's what they do. Is it the biggest heel turn? Probably in the modern day. Like, you bringing up Hogan, that's one. Another one that came to my mind is Stone Cold when he shook the hands with Vince McMahon. I would say this is on par with that. Like, that's this generation's big heel turn because every generation needs that one. Do I think he's gonna beat Cody at Mania? No, I don't. Am I curious what Cena's gonna say on Raw? Yes, very much so. But a part of me also thinks he's not going to be able to even say something. I think he's going to be interrupted, and there's going to be a fight, and something's going to happen. Like, I don't feel like we're going to get actual words. But overall, like, it's interesting. I know, like, out of the three of us, I'm the least Cena fan. But I will say this is the first time in several years I am invested in a Cena storyline. So, I mean, if that's the case, and it's working. It got me more excited for their match.
Yeah, it definitely did what it was supposed to do. Got fans interested, got them intrigued, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Luckily, I was able to catch it live before I went to work that night, and it was a shocker. It was a fantastic heel turn, and just seeing Cena make that heel face was hilarious because he never makes a face like that. You were like, oh yeah, it's serious business now. He sold his soul, and unfortunately, I heard what their tag team name may be. Yeah, y'all ain't gonna like it. It's rumored to be the Rock and Soul Connection, which
No,
What?
no,
that's
What?
that's apparently what their group name could be.
Oh, man.
so connection.
No comment on that.
Yeah, not good, not good. Hopefully that's just a rumor, but that was on Twitter the other day. I loved it. Cena heel turn, all in. Everybody at my work was talking about it, and I mean, everybody from what I heard loved it, and I do think it means Cena wins because if you turn him heel and he loses, I don't really know where he goes from there. I mean, you at least give him like. I think he's going to win the title at Mania. I think he's going to hold the title till SummerSlam. He's either going to lose to Cody or Punk at SummerSlam. That's what I think is going to happen personally. Could be wrong. Watch see what happens.
Idea. What
Yeah,
if
what is
we have it to where? Because a lot of people, like I mentioned before we started this, people want face Orton versus heel Cena. What if we have that be Cena's final match? Orton wins the title. We also get Orton one last world title run before he retires. And whatever we do about that, we'll just figure out when it happens.
I can see that. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios they could go with for sure. I mean, it's the jar is wide open for possibilities. So we'll have to see. And The Rock don't look like he's going to be wrestling, which I mean is what it is. Him and Reigns, I guess, is never going to happen at this point. And Cena, he'll be faced by the end of his run. None of these fans need to panic and think he's going to retire as a heel. He's not going to retire as a heel. It's just something to get people more invested. Doing him against Cody in a face versus face match wouldn't have been very intriguing. I mean, somebody had to turn heel during this, and Cody didn't want to do it. Which I mean, the way he's selling merch and how he's over right now, I don't really blame him for not wanting to turn heel. So we'll have to see where it leads, but I'm all in on it. So speaking of WrestleMania, Jey Uso and Gunther probably going to kick off night one. I don't know if it's going to main event over the main event, Reigns, Rollins, and Punk. We'll have to see. The build for this feud has been very repetitive, in my opinion. They just do the same thing every week. Jey does a match. Gunther attacks him from behind. They say, Gunther says he doesn't deserve to be his opponent. They need to do something different for this feud because it's really been bad built up. And Jey's been getting a lot of criticism from fans. A lot of fans like him. There's also the section of fans who think he just spams super kicks and he's just a yeet catchphrase. He's not going on the mic and all this other stuff. There's been a lot of criticism for Jey Uso. A lot of fans were pissed when he won the Rumble. I mean, there were a lot of criticism and still is for Jey Uso. So, Tears, I'll ask you this. Would him beating Gunther be the right move in your opinion, considering how over he is?
Honestly, I would say yes, because I get on our standpoint, yeah, that'd be something that would agitate us, but at the same time, names that were like they were just a catchphrase and simplistic moves. Names like, and this is gonna really agitate people. I can already see it happening. But people like Cena, he was also a catchphrase and a handful of moves. And before him, this is gonna be the part that really agitates people. Stone Cold was also that. He was the what guy instead of the yeet guy, and he just did punches, attacks, and stunners. I know people are not gonna like that, but if you look back, it is true. So I would say it's definitely the right time, and plus, I wouldn't even blame like Jey Uso entirely for the storyline being like repetitive, because if you look at like when Gunther was feuding with Damian Priest, he kind of did the same thing too. He kind of did the same thing with this tiny little mini feud with Otis. So it kind of just seems like it's just Gunther's thing to just degrade people, thinking like he is a higher class individual. So I would say it's more in lines to where it kind of checks out. So I would say yes, Jay should be the one to win at Mania, because Mania should always be the feel good for the hero story. And I honestly do think it's going to main event night one. I think the triple threat between Punk, Rollins, and Reigns, honestly, that might be the opening to Mania night one, or the opening for night two. We never know, but I don't. I think the world title and the Royal Rumble winner should at least main event one of the nights.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, for me, like I get the criticism for Jay. Like, don't get me wrong, some of his matches can be very boring, but I mean, fans got to realize when somebody's a top guy, WWE doesn't have him do a whole lot in their matches. I mean, I don't know if they do that to protect him from injury or that's just the way WWE is. I mean, Cena didn't
It's
do a
to
whole lot
protect
during his
them.
matches. Yeah, like Rock didn't do a whole lot. Stone Cold didn't do a whole lot. Reigns sure in the hell don't do a whole lot. So I mean, it's kind of is what it is. Big E when he became world champion, he didn't really do a whole lot. Like it's just the way they make world champions. And could Jay do more in his matches? Yes, but that's just kind of the way WWE books their top baby faces, whether you like it or not. That's just the way it is.
They
Should
make
he
sure
beat
that they
Gunther?
remain safe during the pay per view or like during the
Exactly.
pay per
Yes.
view.
I mean, I'm not really expecting a lot from Jay. I mean, kind of is what it is. But should he beat Gunther at Mania? I mean, I don't see why he should. I mean, Gunther's had a very underwhelming title reign, him and Cody both at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if they both lost. And even if Jay holds a title for a month or two, I mean, at this point, it's either now or never whether you're going to make Jey Uso a world champion. If he doesn't win here, then he's never going to be a world champion, in my opinion. I mean, this is kind of the opportunity to do it. And he's selling merch. He's over. He's doing what he needs to do. And that's what WWE wants. They want top merch sellers. They want guys who are over. The live audience, whether the internet crowd hates him or not, live crowds love him. I mean, he's got the whole crowd eating. So that's what they want. He's over as hell. So it would not surprise me if they put the world title on Jay. So QJ, what do you think about Jey Uso winning against Gunther? Is it the right move in your opinion?
My opinion, yeah, I think it's the right move. He's doing what he needs to do. Obviously, his in-ring performance could be better, but like I said, I mean, that's how WWE books they top guys. We've seen it with Cena, Reigns, a whole lot. It's like it is what it is. But I feel like WrestleMania match, he should allow some moves like, oh shoot, I didn't know he had that in his arsenal. I feel WrestleMania would be a good time to actually do that. Like really put on, like a show. And obviously, like, we already know Gunther can wrestle and everything, but Jay, we're not saying he can't wrestle. He can. We've seen him in tag teams, uh, stuff like that. But now, I don't know. I hope it does main event, but I feel like I don't know. I feel WWE gonna let that happen. I hope they let the main event, but I feel they so in that triple threat. Comments would be people would be so invested in that triple threat. They'll be like, oh, that needs the main event. You got CM Punk, Rollins, and Reigns. So I don't know. Hopefully they do a swerve on that.
Yeah, hopefully. And As long as it kicks off the show or main events, those are always the two most important matches. So even if it kicks off, I don't think it's too bad. I mean, Rollins and Drew kicked off last year. So, I mean, we'll have to see. I did hear Jey do an interview, and he said he don't care where he's at on the show. He knows him and Gunther are going to put on a show. So that's a lot of talk from Jey, especially after last year's match with Jimmy. He's really, in my opinion, got to make up for that. I don't know what happened between those two. It just didn't click. If he has two stinkers in a row, that's not going to be a good look. So I think he'll hopefully have a better match with Gunther. And, hopefully Yeet Mania happens. C Nation. We'll have to see, though. So, final topic, the big match. Well, one of the big matches. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk. They had that incredible steel cage match on Raw. All three of these guys have heat between one another. They all three hate each other. There's the Paul Heyman aspect. There's the Rollins and Reigns aspect. There's Punk and Rollins still hate each other's guts. Like, all three of these guys just can't stand each other. The story's there. Paul Heyman's going to be an interesting factor in all this. What is he going to do? And this is a big money match right here. I mean, three big names, doesn't really need a championship. Just three guys with bad blood and a rivalry that are just going to go in there and hopefully put on a show. So, Tears, who do you think should win this match and why between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk?
Oh my god. I have mixed feelings about this match because I don't know who should win this match because there's an argument for each one, and there's that rumor that you mentioned where like whoever wins this match will lead to a title match. I'm just like, but for which title? That's what's important to me. If Cena does win the title, then we will be able to know that he's going to win the title. If Punk wins, that's how I feel. If Punk wins this and Cena wins the world title, we know, or the Universal title, we know where that's leading. If Rollins wins, okay. If Reigns wins, then that means Cody wins. I feel like Rollins is if and this is just speculating, like if it's for a shot at the title, Rollins is the odd man out. If it's not, then maybe I don't know who I honestly want to win this match, to be honest, because this one is the one that's just like off to me. I got no opinion about it. I'm just being blatantly honest. I have no opinion about this match. I know it's going to be a good one, but I have no booking idea for it.
That's surprising, Tears, not having a prediction for this. For me, I'll let QJ say his first because mine's kind of out there. So, QJ, who do you think is going to win this triple threat between these three?
I say just let CM Punk win. Let him have his reign, get a title, and have have Reigns and Rollins have their little feud for a while. Might as well just go that direction.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, Reigns and Rollins definitely haven't had a 1v1 feud in a few years now, so I definitely could see WWE being like, okay, let's get Punk away from y'all and have Reigns and Rollins feud. For me, I predict Paul Heyman is going to turn on Reigns. I think that would be intriguing. Maybe he aligns with CM Punk again. They've been teasing him having more, looking after Punk than Reigns. They showed it in the steel cage where Reigns looked at Paul Heyman in the ring with Punk like, what the hell are you doing in there with him? Got mad. I think that's an interesting aspect. And maybe we see not necessarily heel Punk, but him and Heyman reunite. Reigns, at this point, without the bloodline stuff, Heyman's not, in my opinion, really needed for Reigns anymore. I think Reigns could do fine on his own. I don't really see it as like necessarily needed. It seems like the bloodline stuff's finally, obviously Solo and Jacob Fatu are still in a feud, but like it seems like the bloodline stuff's finally moving on. So maybe it's time for Reigns and Paul Heyman to move on and both them try something new, or maybe Paul Heyman manages Braun Breaker so that he's been working with him backstage, something like that. We'll have to see. That's just a kind of a wild card prediction I have. Is it likely? Probably not, but it's definitely something to consider, especially for a WrestleMania. That'd be the big time moment to turn Paul Heyman on Reigns, since Reigns is leaning towards more babyface anyways. That would make a lot of sense. And I'm just looking forward to this year's WrestleMania. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential outcomes that could happen. I'm still hesitant to say both Jey and Cena will win. I don't know if they want both of them to have their moments at the same. I mean, I know it's different nights, but the same premium live event. WWE rarely has two world titles change hands, so we'll have to see. But hopefully, you guys enjoyed this episode of the LTQ Wrestling Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe for more wrestling content weekly. Peace.
Peace.